Cody, how are you, mate? It's good to see you.
Ronnie, great to see you, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries. It's been a minute. We caught up probably 6 weeks ago, 4 or 6 weeks ago now, and had a good chat. But um, yeah, what have you been up to? Where'd you? You're an entrepreneur, and obviously that's a trait that I think that you're born with. Um, some people discover it later on, but
That's up for discussion. Yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
wonder that same thing myself. Is this something that you're born with? Is it something that you learn? Is it a skill? Is it a mixture of both? Probably. Um,
What was your earliest business or attempt at making money at least?
Gosh, when I was young, looking back on it, hindsight, I didn't know about entrepreneurship, of course, but my first thing was probably selling probably my Pokemon cards on a little Tykes table. On the side of the road by my house. I had some Pokemon cards that I gathered through the years from my gifts or whatever as a kid. So I was probably what, 7 or 8, and I decided I want to make some money. I'm not sure why I wanted the money, but I needed to do it, and
More
took
Pokemon
my took,
cards.
took my Pokemon cards and my some baseball cards and stuff up to the table, set up shop for all the neighborhood kids to buy. They did, and also got my first, card stolen at that time. You kind of get the bigger kids coming in there, and they kind of like pull it from the table and things like this. But that was probably my first money making venture as a young kid.
Yeah, nice. My parents owned a caravan park, and back then people used to a caravan park, trailer park. People would smoke like it was going out of fashion, and what we were tasked with to make money was we could go and collect them for 1 cent for one butt, and that's how we sort of started making money. But I don't think that was really a business; it was just a disgusting way to make money.
Hey man, it's good for the world. You need to pick those things up off the ground if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. It was
Okay.
foul, but yeah. So, where'd you grow up?
Grew up in United States for your audience, California specifically, and then more specifically San Diego County. San Diego is a beautiful beach city, of course. Most people know that. I grew up in a small town, like a ranch town called Campo, California. It's about probably 2,500 people total in the town. Still tiny. No stoplights, stop signs only. No grocery stores. Maybe one gas station at the time. And I grew up on a small ranch. We were country kids running around, and went to a tiny little public school, very modest town. It was a great upbringing. It was really cool. We ride our motorcycles, we would ride our bikes all over the place, all the dirt roads. We raised some livestock and some animals and stuff around the property, and it was a blessing to grow up in an environment like this. My parents were entrepreneurs. In hindsight, they were entrepreneurs. They didn't call themselves that. Again, this wasn't a term. They were just business owners. They just blue collar construction. My dad was a general contractor. My mom and my stepdad were well drillers, like drilling water wells in the ground. Uh, and I got to see the value of like hard work just from at the beginning, and it was a blessing for me because I got to see what it takes to be successful, or what it takes to just put your hands to the dirt and work. And then I also got to see all the downsides with all those things, the downsides of actually going out and using your time, trading your time for money. I got to see the downsides with trading your body and your effort for money. And I realized
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
things that I loved about this, but I also realized all the things that I just absolutely never wanted for my future. And it was a blessing for sure.
yeah. So did you guys, you said you went to a public school there? Did you like when you went on to high school? Were you going like how far was it to San Diego or the next big town sort of thing?
Yeah, so I went to Campo or Mountain Empire High School. You guys can look it up. It's tiny, literally tiny. And like 400 kids in my graduating, so in the whole school, 80 people in my graduating class, and then 45 minutes outside of downtown San Diego. So we were like 45 minutes from the beach, I guess you could say. So we'd go to the beach often and stuff. It was cool, and it was a good upbringing for sure. Had its ups and downs, but like any person has their stories of those. But it was a good upbringing.
Yeah. Did you go to college?
hmm I did.
Yeah.
So I was pretty obsessed with. I have this like tendency to go really, really similar to you and any other entrepreneur listening to this. You have this obsessive type of trait where you can get really, really focused on something for a long period of time. And I had this. Thankfully, I was I got really obsessed with football, American football, and I got it in my brain that I feel like I wanted to go to college and I wanted to do an athletic do be an on an athletic scholarship. So I was be the first one. No one's ever been to a 4-year degree in my family, and so I realized that at some point I wanted to do that, and we didn't necessarily have money to pay for an expensive school. So it was one of those things where if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go do it. And so I played football in high school, and I just worked my way to earning a scholarship at a school called Menlo College in the Bay Area, Northern California, and studied business. Not because I was interested in business, but I was simply there to play football, and they just happened to be a business school. And it started to teaching me more about business naturally. Got to be around other business people, right? And kids that like they went to business school too. And I didn't necessarily, I don't like put a lot of our success, I don't tie it to college. I don't think you need to do it this way. It just happened to work out this way for me. And it was a fun experience. So I played college football for 3 years in college. During my college career, I went to school my freshman year, played, came home that summer just because that's what you do. You come home for summer, and actually had a traumatic family incident where my father got really, really sick. He actually had a stroke, not just like any stroke, like a massive stroke to where it put him in the hospital. It put him debilitated his whole entire life, and it was a complete change in my life
How
from
old
that
was he?
moment on. He was only 50 years old.
Oh wow.
50 years old, and it was interesting, man. It was I've shared this with a couple times just on my own podcast, so forgive me if it's all kind of chaotic, but it was a pivotal moment in my life because it like made me totally change my perspective on life, the value of time, the value of what your choices are in your life, the value of leadership in my family. I was the only son to my dad. My dad was also not married anymore. So like now I took a leadership role inside of my family to make these life changing decisions for my dad, whether he should live, should pass away, whether we should keep him in the home or bring him home to take care of him, managing schedules amongst my family, amongst caregivers, all at the age. I was changing diapers, changing catheters, literally the thing that you would not want your 18-year-old son to be dealing with,
Yeah, wow.
as a father. And
That was a bit of a coming of an age for you, like in terms of like really stepping up to the plate. Like, it's a hell of a lot of responsibility.
it was, thank you, man. It wasn't all on me. My sisters were absolutely amazing in this way, but it was certainly a big responsibility. I would say the same.
Hmm.
It was, which I think had a huge, huge, huge positive impact on my life. I'm grateful for those experiences, as challenging as they were. Very grateful
Yeah.
for those.
Did bring you all like the kids closer together? Do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, my sisters. There's three of us, and I'm the youngest of all of them. It made us tight, man. Like we're dealing with different age gaps. There's four of us. We're dealing with scheduling. We're dealing with very challenging situations where, my dad has a UTI, which is a bladder infection, and it's like we're dealing with things like this that when you're kids and you don't deal with, right? We're dealing with managing schedules as we're all adults now. We're dealing with things that, hey, should Cody go back to school to finish what he started, or should he not? So I stayed home for a year, right? And but they were also making sacrifices on their end. They're having to leave work early and get like leave of absences and stuff from work and their careers that they're working on. So it made us really tight, and it definitely put another perspective, giving another perspective on what the meaning of family is.
Yeah, for sure. So did you have to like? Did you defer uni for that period? Like you still
I
had the
took a leave of
scholarship and whatnot.
absence. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Thanks for bringing that up. I took a leave of absence, which means just like you defer for a year. But during that leave of absence, I also went back to school during that year, to a community college or a junior college, they call it. So I didn't stop school because I didn't want to fall too far behind. So I was kind of,
What
and then I
about your
also had to do
fitness?
it. What's that?
What about your fitness? Were you still keeping fit through that time?
I was, yeah. I started jogging instead of like I wasn't really powerlifting because I didn't have a weight room, but I started jogging. I started like staying in shape because I mean you're kind of just at home taking care of the stuff at house, but like you just can't leave anywhere. You can't leave. Um, but it was a tricky time. Like it was a cool time looking back on it, but it was also challenging. I remember sleeping. I slept for 2 weeks in hospital, right, next to my dad to make sure that everything was getting taken care of, and it was wild.
How
But
long did
that
you go
all led
for?
me to where we are today, where I have a family and I have two beautiful babies, one on the way. I'm married, and my wife is an absolute amazing human being that I'm grateful for. We have an amazing business that serves amazing customers, and all this stuff leads you to where you are today. And that's the most beautiful
Yeah.
part about life. It's not always easy, but it's usually worth it.
I think there's very important lessons along the way, and I think yeah, no matter how hard it gets, you kind of need to view it as that. Like, um, not too dissimilar. My father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I think I was 21,
Mm,
so I went through that process, but I was not the stand-up son that you were. Like, he was 3 hours away, and I, had a wife and a new kid.
mm.
And um, did I? No, the kids weren't born yet, but
But you were starting
just
your life.
different
You were 21
worlds. So
to be
my
married.
sister was, yeah. So it was, yeah. I didn't end up doing that. It's one of the regrets that I had. I wish I had have, been there more for him through that period. But
Did he
um,
pass away now, if you don't mind me asking?
yeah, yeah. So that was back in 2010. So a week
Mm.
after my son was born,
I'm sorry
which
to
is
hear
so
that.
weird because when my brother was born, my grandfather died at the same time frame after that. So it's
Mm.
like this. There's a series of events that seems to pop up through our history. My granddad was 68, my uncle was 68, my dad was 68, all when they died from Alzheimer's. So it's
Wow.
and this is sort of what I think you're sort of speaking to before was it gives you a different perspective on life and the time that we've got here. It's not something that I often think about in terms of I'm going to get it, but it's like, if I do get it, I want to make sure that I've had a pretty solid life, which is the catalyst for me getting off the tools when I did. I was like, I'm not going to work my, self to the bone, never see my family. I actually want to
Mm.
be around them. And you know what? Like, and it's something I probably only realized in the last couple of weeks. It's like time flies no matter what you do. I'm just so grateful that I found this print on demand like those 10 years ago, and I've been able to be there for the kids like in the morning, the evenings, being
Special.
in the family unit
It's a very
as
special
opposed to
thing.
what would have happened, as a carpenter. So that yeah, pretty crazy. So you got back to uni. What happened with the football?
I went back. I went back after the year. I went back and started playing again. Went back to school, and it was challenging because now we had to now I was another person leaving my father and my sisters kind of like they had to take responsibility now at home. And by the way, we're like 12 hours away, right? So it's not like it's a 1 hour drive. And so that was tricky. And then he ended up passing away probably maybe 4 months later after that, So then we're back home again for a funeral and dealing with this. It was a cool time. When I say cool because I try to flip everything into somehow it's serving me rather than it worked against me. I'd rather not to be the victim at all in anything.
Mhm.
Uh, Somehow it's all working for me, and I don't know how. I don't necessarily know why it's happening, but what am I going to do?
I'm the
You're gonna
same.
look at all the negative things. I mean, that's pretty damn
Yeah,
depressing. Like you'll be live a
yeah,
sorry
for
life.
sure. Yeah.
And so went to school, played football there, studied business. Didn't know what the hell I was gonna do out of school. I legit did not know. I just know I wanted to help people and I wanted to make a lot of money. There's two things
Mhm.
that I knew for sure I wanted to do. So I was interviewing at like Red Cross, which is like in the U.S., like a donation type of emergency type of company. I'm like, that's mission driven. That's helping people. The money thing, it's like it's tough. It's like a nonprofit. I'm pretty sure it's a nonprofit. I'm okay. Okay, didn't really check that box, but and then so I found engineering recruiting. So I started like looking at like recruiting engineers, help people get jobs and make money and like all this cool stuff. And that led me down this awesome path. But quickly, I realized that corporate job is corporate job, and there's a reason why people don't do it. And there's a reason why people do it. You get the great salary typically if you work your way up, and you get benefits and you get stability, seemingly stability. And I realized pretty quickly that, oh shit, I don't really like going to work like 9 to 5 every single day. Like this is not going to be sustainable. So I picked up books and I started reading. Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first like mind changing book that I read, and I realized financial freedom was something I never heard of really before. And so then at that point, that was the goal. I was gonna be like, I'm gonna like be financially free, go down this path of different avenues to do this through real estate and uh, mostly real estate. I was like obsessed with this is gonna be my path, and it was all for the mission of financial freedom. And went down this path of doing this. Realized after a couple of years in, okay, this is not the best path. This is a path, but like e-commerce is something that actually kind of came to my mind through friends and through network, and I'm like, this is kind of like real estate except it's all online.
Hmm.
It almost comes across like passive income. It's a little more active, but like, damn, this is something here. This could take me out of my job faster, I think. And so I explored this further, and then eventually it was absolutely true. It was one of those things where it was mind blowing, the power of e-commerce, the power of online business, the power of doing a transaction over the internet without talking to anyone. It's absolutely mind boggling. Oh, and then also you don't have to touch the inventory if you don't want to.
Hmm.
Absolutely
Hmm.
insane, right? And all I need to do is get good at it. So that was the goal. It was like, okay, this is a thing. It's possible. Now let's make it probable and let's turn it into reality. And so I just obsessed over that. And then I still kept my job for a while. And I was in technology. I was working at tech in the tech industry. So I was always around software. I was around technology, and I knew that like that was going to be my future at some point. I just didn't know how it was all going to fit together. And I didn't have to think about that too much. I just e-commerce kind of led me to starting the company that is my life today, and it's Everbee. And I get to mix e-commerce with technology, with innovation, with scalability, and I get to serve a whole bunch of people. And it's literally the biggest blessing. And I can't tell you how grateful I am. It's absolutely absurd.
It's nuts. How old are you now?
I'm 32. 32.
Yeah, so young, mate. And when did you get online?
Ah, God, when was it? They're all merging together, man. It's crazy. Time flies. I want to say like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I was probably started
Yeah,
selling my first product on Amazon FBA.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Sort of similar sort of time as I kind of did. So with the football at school, where you're kind of like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to be good enough. I've got to sort of look towards something else.
Yeah, I realized pretty quickly that I was, I'm not the most gifted athlete. Meaning, you know what I mean? You could tell when you play sports, you start to see other people. You're like, fuck, that guy's putting in way less effort than me, and
Mm.
he's way better than me. That's interesting. You know,
Yeah.
that's called a gift, by the way. That's a gift.
Yes.
I'm gifted in certain things. You're gifted in certain things. And people listening to this are gifted in certain things, and it's usually the thing that you're best at with the least amount of effort. That's how I define a gift. And but I wasn't really gifted. I work really hard. Meaning like I don't. I'm really good at developing skills. Like for example, if I don't have good hands, if I can't catch a ball very well, that's a skill. I could learn how to catch a ball. Through
Yeah.
repetition. Running fast, I wasn't that fast. I could run decent, and I can get a little faster. I was pretty strong, but you realize, when you go to the next level, you're like, oh, most of these people are actually gifted and they work hard. So not just are they hard workers, they actually are gifted also. And you start realizing that I could do this, but I'll probably bang my head against the wall for a while, literally, actually.
Mm.
And I probably am still not. I'll only reach a certain amount of potential. And that's when I started realizing, probably my second year in, I'm like, this is a cool thing. I'll run this for 4 years just because I committed to it. But there has to be another thing for me after this, and it's probably going to be
Yeah.
using my brain and my words and my ambition in other ways. It's not going to only be physical.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And what was your first like attempt online? What were you doing?
Amazon FBA. I was selling fitness products. I was in fitness, right? Football and all this stuff. So I started selling foam rollers, like, foam rollers.
Yep.
And that was my first one, my first go. I started selling this thing called a vibrating foam roller, right? It was a foam roller that vibrated, and it was like
Got
actually
one.
really,
Got similar stuff to that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, cool product actually. And that was my first go. I invested $10,000 cash and to buy this inventory, and I lost thousands of dollars on this product. It was,
Been
I,
there. Yeah.
yeah, I almost went against like all of my friends' advice, all the stuff I've learned. I thought that it was just like you could just private label and you could slap something on it and like do it, and you could beat them with marketing. And I realized quickly that no, it's not quite like that. And
Mm.
you have to have differentiation. You have to like have an edge of some sort. And so I learned quickly then. But my second product was a winner. My second product was not a breakout huge viral success, but I started making 30,000 a year probably in revenue, and decent margins, 30%, 35% profit margins. And I was cash flowing at that point. And that was a big validator that this thing works. E-commerce, this whole thing, it works. And then it was a matter of just kind of like learning from there, going to Amazon. I'm sorry, going to Walmart, going to Shopify, drop shipping a little bit, figuring it out. And then eventually I found Etsy. And that's when I really had some breakout success for my standards at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what made you go, nah, FBA? Like, it's making me money, but it's not what I want.
Gosh, it was probably COVID. Um, Amazon was great. At this point, I was already started to shifting to software. I was already like building some software projects on the side, and I was already kind of interested in this. COVID kind of pulled me to Etsy. Actually, we were selling at the time. We were selling because I was already successful on Amazon. I had a Shopify store at this point, and we're making like thousands of dollars per month, right, in profit, and it was cool. But I was also like successful in my job. I was making like 100,000, well over $100,000 per year in my job. So I was like, it's hard to like, and I have a family at this point. I have a kid and I have a wife, and I'm like, she doesn't work. She's a full time mom. So I'm like, I have to make sure that we're good in the family. It was never enough to quit my job. COVID happened. Similar story to some other people. We saw the mask opportunity pretty early. Like it was pretty early. We saw it on Amazon, and I saw that, wow, people are buying masks even though they have one-star reviews. That's
Mm.
fascinating. That is purely a supply and demand issue. That's a gap, ripe for the taking. I mean, this is a dream come true if you're a seller, if you're an entrepreneur. You simply see more people buying, and they're buying a very, very low quality product at high volumes simply because there's not enough supply. And so I saw this as just a quick opportunity to like move in and move out of a market, and while I have my job. And so we literally did that. We started hand making masks, hand making,
Yeah. Wow.
sewing
And making.
myself.
Wow.
Yep.
What sort of hours were you doing on the sewing machine? Or did you have something you outsource it, but you were making your own?
I did my own masks, man. At first,
Jeez.
I sewed my first like 100 masks myself, maybe 200 masks myself, literally. I borrowed my mom's sewing machine. I said, Mom, do you have a sewing machine? And she said, Yes, I have one. It's like in the closet. I'm like, Can you teach me how to sew tomorrow? And she's like, Yes, I can. I'm like, Cool. I'm going to go to the fabric store, and I'm going to, and at this point, and we did it, man. We made a prototype. We took pictures of it. We slapped it up online on Amazon. It was better than the ones that were listed, and at a cheaper price. And we started pre-selling these things, and pretty soon orders started bumping up. This is a crazy time, by the way. This is not normal, right? You guys remember, everybody remembers listening to this, is COVID was absolutely absurd. And we pretty soon my sisters lost their jobs. They Pretty soon everyone lost their income in my family through COVID. Their businesses getting shut down. Like the
Mm.
US is shut down. And my family was now out of work. No income, but they still have bills, by the way, right? And here I have this vehicle that's like, I'm selling masks online. I'm pre-selling these things. I have 40, 50 in the order queue right now that I have no way of fulfilling. So literally everybody got on board, and we started literally making masks as a family. And we started paying
Wow.
piece rate to my sisters, and they started making masks. They'd make them for about $5 a piece. I'd pay them. We'd sell them
So
for
you
about
had your
50.
own little sweatshop going on.
Absolutely, except we were very well paying. And dude,
Yeah.
we crushed it. I mean, we sold tens of thousands of masks that my family made.
So
And
where were you selling them at this point?
good question. Amazon first.
Yeah.
And if anybody remembers this, Amazon actually said like they banned masks from their platform at one point. So we were crushing. We were like moving. People were happy with our products. We were getting great reviews. We were like, we took pride in our brand at this point. And Amazon started banning. Boom, masks all gone. And we were just like, wow, here I am with my family, with people, literally like employing people in our community at this point. And we started looking for other places. Okay, Walmart, they did it for a little bit, banned. And we're like so confused. Why the hell are they banning all these masks? Like people need masks, right? Uh, eBay, banned. And then Etsy, I didn't even really know about Etsy at the time. But sure enough, Etsy's over here like saying, hey, we're cool with masks. Sell masks over here, you know? And so we started doing that and we just moved to Etsy. And because we had this Amazon FBA experience, Walmart experience, eBay experience from SEO, optimizing listings, all this stuff,
Mhm.
we knew how to sell stuff. We just went over to Etsy and just did pretty much the exact same thing. Served the customer really well, amazing customer service, a great product, great pictures, fast shipping, and we just absolutely crushed it. And we just ran that thing for years, for a while. Like we just took advantage of the opportunity in the market and served a lot of people with great products. And this was all at this point on the side, and it was busy on the side, but you know,
What
what
sort
do
of
you get?
numbers were you doing?
I think we probably made total numbers like $300,000 in revenue, probably.
Yeah. Like,
So
was that sort of month? Like, what sort of time frame?
oh gosh, no, that was total on Etsy at that for masks, total on Etsy and that masks, and that was probably over a 2 year period of time, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where and at some points we were doing $20,000 weeks, which was life changing for me at the time. It's life changing for somebody listening to this probably that's never seen those numbers before.
But
And
the safety that you gave your family in doing that, like and another thing that I love about print on demand is ever since I started way back 2013, like there was stories of people helping out their families. Like I remember seeing a bunch of Africans like in random villages. I don't even know how they had internet, but they were crushing it and they were helping their villages out. So to see you doing that through COVID in one of the craziest times that we've ever experienced, be able to help your people, it's
very special,
you know,
man.
oh,
I,
isn't it?
this is what I think. This is what entrepreneurship. This is what business. This is what capitalism is all about. It's
Mm,
about serving customers. And when you serve customers, you capture some of that value. And the people working for you, helping serve those customers, they capture the value. It's like it's not a perfect system,
mm.
but I don't know of a better one. It's a beautiful thing when you work to serve people. And when you serve people, making money is just simply the byproduct of your success. It's,
Absolutely.
it's all it is.
And do you think like your business degree from uni has from college uni? We call it university uni, and you
Sure.
guys call it college. So do you reckon? Or do you reckon? Do you feel like it has helped you quite a bit in business? Like, do you find that you're using things that you learnt from college in your everyday business?
It's a good question. I think about this pretty often. I don't believe so. I think everything serves us, right? So if you choose to let it serve you, it'll serve you. So yes, I'm sure there's things in there. I'm sure there is. It'd be stupid for me to say that
Structure,
your
protocol,
history,
systems. Yeah.
yeah. But as far as the content, not really. No.
Mm.
In fact, the marketing, I did a marketing degree. The marketing does nothing. I use nothing, almost nothing of the marketing today. Email marketing, no, they don't talk about that. Like they talk about like macro level marketing when you're working for a corporation. That's not what I did. It's not what I do. And so, but what I did learn though is through playing sports. I think sports is a valuable thing. It teaches you like,
Agreed.
ah man,
Resilience.
tenacity, resilience, right? Like showing up to a
Yeah.
5 a.m.
Winning,
workout,
losing. Hmm.
how to lose a million times and not give up, like still show up to practice the next day, have your teammates rely on you. Uh, how to lead a team or lead with a team. And all these things served me for sure in high school and then college, probably throughout your whole life. You're an athlete yourself. You understand fully. But as far as the content, not necessarily. I will tell you one class I took that made an absolute huge impact on me. Personal finance.
Mm-hmm.
Personal finance. Simply just budgeting for my own personal finances. That class right there had the biggest impact probably on my success right now. Simply just not running out of money. Your personal
Yeah, I
money and
bet.
your
Yeah.
company money.
Mm-hmm.
It's that easy.
Yeah. So with your going back to your ecom stuff, like,
Yeah.
did you transition into other products before you started going into more software stuff, or um, yeah, what happened between COVID and where you're at with Everbee?
Totally. Yes, absolutely. Like we were at this point, we were selling foam rollers, we were selling fitness gear, we were selling towels, like fitness towels. I invented this product called the Towel Pal, and I literally had this thing like designed it, manufactured it. We ordered a whole bunch of units of them, sold them. It was cool
What was it
to
called? The towel? What?
Towel Pal,
Oh,
TALPAL.
yes. Yeah.
And all it was is for a fitness guy, like you're in the gym for a woman guy, you put your towel, you bring your towel into the gym, like you put it on the bench typically, like that's what you do. It's kind of gross. Like you throw it on the ground. This thing hooked on, it was a magnet clip and it went onto your waist.
Smart.
Yeah, in theory, the thing about this thing is it actually didn't make any money. Like like I sold them, but I never made a profit on it. I never validated this product before. Like I purely off of inspiration out of my feeling, I wanted to bring this thing to market. Spent thousands and thousands of dollars, years of my life thinking about this product and brought it to life for it to be a failure, in a sense. In reality, I should have just validated. That's where Everbee was kind of born. I should have just validated that is there a market for something like this using data? And I probably would have just not done this thing and focused on something way better. And the opportunity cost, the value of my time would have been better spent doing something that was validated rather than just simply because I wanted to be cool and like invent something. I think we get caught up in that trap once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So where was the need? Where do you see Everbee going? Actually, I need to create something here that sort of helps me do what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you're asking, I guess, where did it come in, like into this story?
Yeah, where was that aha moment that you're going to go down software for Etsy?
Yeah, it was software. First, I determined it was going to. I kind of reverse engineered what we've done. This is kind of how I think. My mind thinks this way. I start with the goal in mind, like what do I want to achieve, and then what are the different pathways to achieve that thing. Okay, I want financial freedom. Okay, got it. And at that point, now I have a wife and I have a son. I'm like, okay, I don't only want financial freedom. I actually want time freedom also. Because you could have, I want time freedom and I also want financial freedom. Oh,
Absolutely.
interesting. I also want location freedom. I don't want to be tied to a specific area in the world. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to pick up my family and move, and my business not be impacted, my finances not be impacted. So those were those things I got really clear on. I wanted location freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom. Now, the way I think about it is first you need to figure out what you want. I wanted those things. What does that look like? How much is that per year and per month or whatever you want to do? And then it was about reverse engineering. Okay, I could do real estate. I could do that. I could do e-commerce. I could do that. I could do software. I could do that. That seems hard because that wasn't what I was doing right now, but I can learn that, I think. And for me, all three of those paths will work. And they actually check those boxes. Some of them are faster than others, and some of them I have unique advantages in. So I simply decided it was going to be business was going to be the path, not real estate investing. That's a slow path. It was going to be business. Business was going to reach to these things. And so as soon as I decided it was going to be business, then it comes to the question of what kind of business? Are you going to sell supplements? Are you going to sell t-shirts? Are you going to sell energy drinks? Are you going to sell physical products, digital products, coaching courses, all this stuff, right? And eventually I said, well, I have this unique advantage. I work for a technology company. I've hired thousands of people at this technology company at this point, engineers, by the way. I kind of get the business game, it's not in the same industry, but I get it. I'm decent with numbers. Uh, and I think software is my next play. And so I took a very thoughtful approach to falling into software. I decided it was going to be software, and then it was a matter of, okay, well, now what kind of software? Because there's lots of different
What was it
software.
about software that sparked your curiosity?
Say again, I'm sorry.
What was it about software that really lit you up?
Sure. One thing was probably the impact first. At this point, I'm now getting more mature in my career, right? Whereas like I actually don't only care about money and time and freedom and all this stuff. I actually care about like helping other people with like certain things. At this at this point, I knew that software could reach more people's lives. It's more scalable. Anybody listening to this, software is a more scalable approach to touching people's lives. And then that's one. Second, the business outcome, the business metrics behind software is a beautiful thing. If you know how to do it, if you do it right, your gross margins are way high, way higher than any other business. It's a beautiful thing. Coaching and courses actually are really high too. So that's a beautiful business too. Um, but software is a beautiful thing because of the gross margins. And then third, typically, if you if you're if depending on how your ambition level, my ambition is to sell companies. Also, I want to build them and I want to sell them. And if I don't want to sell them, I want to leverage them
Start
in
with
other
the exit in mind.
aspects. Yeah, the exit in mind. And you could sell e-commerce brands. You could sell print-on-demand companies. You could sell all these beautiful. They're amazing. Uh, but software is just that much better, in my opinion. The exit multiple is much higher. They're more attractive to a buyer. So that's my first intention was like, well, I want to build a software because I want to be able to exit for a higher amount too. And
Is
so
that because of that recurring revenue?
recurring revenue for sure, and also the gross margins, and yeah, certainly the recurring revenue is a major piece.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's what we did. So it was like software, and then it was on this path again. You could see my framework of thinking of like, okay, which software one, which what do I want to build? And I went down this path, man, of years of building different projects, and some of them were epic failures. Some of them I went down with a co-founder route, and we started building something. And eventually, I had a huge running list of software projects that I cared about, and Everbee was not named Everbee at the time. It was called Etsy Tool. And it was like that was on the list. It was pretty low on the list, to be honest. But somehow it kind of kept coming back to me as I started succeeding more on Etsy. I was like, there actually is a problem. I wish I had this for me. I wish I had this for me on Etsy. I wish I had this thing. And pretty soon it turned into like I already had the product. It just wasn't in a good UI. It was just on a spreadsheet. I was actually already using this Etsy research thing by using reviews and by using these different data points to make decisions on Etsy business. And then I was like a matter of I think other people can benefit from this too. And I think this is the software thing that could lead to all the other things. And so then at that point, we just started going hard into this one thing. And here we are.
Yeah, nice. And I think what I noticed when Everbee came onto the scene was a lot of the content creators jumping on it and um, like starting to promote it. I think that's where I first saw it as well. Somebody had been using Everbee or um, can't fully remember, but I started seeing it everywhere. So how do you think the short form contents helped with the marketing side of things and awareness?
Yeah, when you say short form, you're talking like YouTube shorts. We're talking like,
Yeah, TikTok reels, like Insta reels.
I think it helped. I don't think it's like the major lever, but I
Yeah,
think it helped for sure. I think for us, if you start with actually serving people, like actually serving customers, like typically people want to tell their friends naturally. And I'm not saying like it's that easy. It's actually a very difficult task to do. But so that's how we started. Yes, the short form content made an impact. YouTube Shorts, TikToks, Instagram Reels, all that stuff. But I think our affiliate program and like because we were actually benefiting the customer, our people like affiliates, like YouTube creators and content creators, they want to benefit their audience too. Like
Mm.
that's the whole point, right? Is to serve people. And so because our product served people and it was easy for them to serve their people with that thing, and they also got to make some commission on that, they felt good about talking about it, and they also made a little bit of money from it, which was turned into recurring revenue. And it turned into this like kind of a beautiful storm of, oh, this is like a thing, and this can actually be a thing that works for a very long time at a big scale. And then we just kind of like repeat it, make the product better, make the product better, and make get more people to like understand how it works and get people results and talk about the results. And it's like this flywheel that kind of runs at this point. And here we are today with 600,000 users, by the way.
Holy dooly, that's
It's like
incredible. Well
dude,
done.
it's amazing. In 3 years of time, we've helped sellers create $1.7 billion in revenue on Etsy.
Incredible. Do you have
Etsy.
direct contacts to Etsy now? Like anybody talk to you from there?
We're in talks with Etsy, of course. We try to manage this relationship in a very good way, in a very
Mm,
careful way, because we care about that partnership. And I think they care
mm,
about us too at this point. We're big enough to where they know that we are making an impact for their sellers. They've actually expressed this to us. That's a beautiful thing. I prayed for this. I prayed for that for years. I'm like, I hope that Etsy and us can somehow work together in a great way. And it's true. They see us, they recognize that we're real, and we serve their customers. At the end of the day, their buyers are served by their sellers, and we serve their sellers. And everybody helps identify gaps for the marketplace. And our sellers, your sellers, people listening to this, fill those gaps for the buyers. And it's exactly what Etsy needs and wants.
mm-hmm.
And it helps them jump
Yeah.
onto trends very quickly. Like everybody will identify a trend, like they see the trend, they jump on it quickly. And that's exactly what Etsy wants.
So talking about validation with it, because that's what Everbee is such a really good tool for you. Like I use it as part of my process, part of the process I teach. Like it shows you what's happening on Etsy. So when you first had your MVP or
Mm.
your when you first went to market, like how did you get it? People, how
It
did you
was
get it out
terrible.
in front of people?
It was absolutely terrible. It was a terrible product. In hindsight, or looking back on it, it's like it's something that I'd be very embarrassed about.
Of
Actually, I was
course, but
embarrassed.
you started, and that's the thing. Like, that first instance, and uh, before you answer, sorry, I think this is what stops so many people from getting started. I look back at my first lot of short form contents, and it's so cringy. Me being on camera,
Mm.
like I'm reading off a screen, it is so stilted. There's no energy. I look back to my first print on demand designs. Granted, it didn't take me long to actually find success because I'd actually played around with e-commerce before, but there's certainly things that you would change, and it's part of the process. You have to make that or put something out there, get
You do.
real time feedback from people to know whether or not it's good or it's bad, and be willing to take that hit if it is bad and continue to improve. So, yeah, what not necessarily what was the product, but that feeling like after you put it out there and it's now in out in the world where people can actually install it, use it, subscribe to it.
Yeah, it was a scary process, of course, because you have this natural fear of like failure and people judging me and me putting a product out there that's subpar and all those things that everyone thinks about. It's those I had those same things, you know. At the end of the day, those are false thoughts. Like you have to just move past those thoughts and just ship it. We call it ship it, right? Just ship it. Send it out. Fuck it. Who cares? Right? What's the worst happens? Literally, what's the worst happens, right? It's not that bad.
Exactly.
So I certainly did that. And we paid the price for it, meaning like you have customer service tickets, you have people calling you a fraud because this it didn't work as we expected, as they expected,
Mm.
and you have all these bad feelings about how you're a failure, like this is a terrible product, like you should be so disappointed and like embarrassed by this product, like all these real things that did happen, and we didn't want that to happen. That's not our goal. It never to give a bad product, but those were things that happen. The first product was good enough to validate, not good enough to actually really help people achieve their goals. But it was kind of the first of its kind, right? If we think about it, like this thing didn't really like there was like keyword research tools, but there was not like product research tools on the market. And and for you to understand how much that product, how many times that product is sold this last month was a challenging task. So our estimates were decent, but they were not accurate. They weren't,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like people were like, this thing didn't sell 1,000 times, it sold once. And we're like, yeah, you're right. So we had to improve the algorithm, improve the algorithm, improve the algorithm years. I mean, we're still improving the algorithm. And so it was embarrassing, but also validating and exciting because that's when we got our first, 10 paying customers. And as soon as if someone is willing to pay for a bad product, imagine what they'll pay for a good product.
What was the notification like of someone subscribing? Like, was there a sound? Was it email? Like, what were you seeing?
Oh man, I was refreshing my page or my our metrics every
Of
second.
course.
I'm
Yeah.
just like anybody listening to this on Shopify or Etsy, like they're refresh. Oh, I got a visitor. I wonder if they're going to convert. Oh, they converted. Oh my God. You're celebrating with your wife. Like, wow. We're in the kitchen. We're just like, wow, someone just paid us $20. You know, and it's like after we've spent tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars on this thing. Um, but it was so validating and so special to know that people are
What
paying
was the
for our
time
product.
difference between like putting it out to market and actually having someone subscribe?
It was probably a 30 day time period, probably.
Oh, that would have been excruciating.
Yeah, it was. But we always moved. Like I was moving, like we're just like, okay, I got to get the emails. Okay, got to send out the email list. I was always thinking, I wasn't just like putting it out there and waiting. It was like always trying to take action, take action, take action. What can I do today to get a customer? What can I do today to get a customer? And it wasn't like we built a product and they're going to come. That's not how it works, unfortunately. It's just never how it works. Like you don't just list something on Etsy and just all the customers flood in. Maybe in the past, but you should probably start building an email list and like start taking some control in your life and you know
Hmm.
do it that way.
So, how'd you initially have that first email list? Like, was that how you were marketing the product to start?
Yeah, it was. Well, first, I didn't have an email list, of course. Nobody starts with an email list typically. For us, it was Facebook ads. I came from an e-commerce background. I was building Shopify, I was building funnels, I was building this stuff. So I started building an email list while we were building it. So we built Everbee for the 6 months. It took 6 months to get our first version out, and just to make it workable. So in that six months of time, we could have said, "Hey, we're just going to wait for 6 months and then we'll start marketing it after." No, that's not what an entrepreneur does. An entrepreneur goes and figures out what can you do today. And so we built a landing page with a button, a subscribe form to subscribe to the email list, and then we give away something in the email list. And at this point, I was already doing the Etsy research manually. I was already doing it.
Mm.
I just didn't have the software. So what I did is I just manually researched 1,000 listings with all the data points on a spreadsheet in a Google sheet, and I just said, "Here it is." And somebody would see a Facebook ad. We ran Facebook ads. Click on the Facebook ad. It's like, what was it? I forget what the ad was. It was like top 1,000 products selling on Etsy today. And they click it. I gave it away for free. They exchanged their email with me. They got a Google link. They used it. That was validation that somebody's at least willing to put their email in for this product. And so I got an email list and like built on this. And at this point, I had a few thousand people on the email list that I can actually launch Everbee to. And so as soon as Everbee came into
How
the
many,
play,
sorry?
probably a few thousand. It was like probably
Yeah.
3,000, 4,000 probably.
Yeah, cool.
And what was cool because as soon as we launched Everbee, I just replaced that Google link with Everbee. It was
Hmm.
the same product. It was just in software form now. And now that doesn't mean I got money. That just means that like they're now I got them into the product. And then after I got people into the product and assuming they like it and they're getting value out of it, then typically people are willing to pay for value. And so then I got to figure out how to extract a certain nice balance of value given versus value received. And so that's how we did it, man.
Yeah, wow. And 600,000 over 3 years is incredible. Like that's a killer number.
Thank you, man.
Was there a time where it's like just coasting along and it just like went through the roof, or has it been like slow and steady, or what's the growth
Absolutely.
been like?
Yeah, the growth has been kind of like what you said. It was like at first it was like cool, we got a little spike of excitement, one customer, a couple users, and then we had to like rebuild the whole entire product at one point. So that was like a 3 month period of gap of time of like nothing's happening because we're rebuilding the product. We realized that we have to rebuild it. And then at this point, we're running out of money, personal cash, because again, I don't work full time. My wife doesn't work full time.
And you're bootstrapping, yeah.
Like we're bootstrapping. We didn't raise a bunch of money for this. So we're running out of cash too. And there was a point where, um, we had like 2 more months of life, financial life in our reserves. And that point, Everbee was in existence, so we could actually get customers, but we didn't have any customers. And this is probably like 7 months in of like Everbee after launch. And at that point, something just kind of clicked with, and it sounds crazy, but it's something just kind of clicked with our marketing, with our email list, with our funnel, with like it just kind of like started catching on. And pretty soon we were like, hey, we got another subscriber today. Oh wow, we got two today, and it was three today, and it was starting to like spike, um, but not enough to not enough to like live off of. Again, I live in California. I have a family. It's not like you're not rich just because you
HQ
have
high
a few.
taxes too, apparently.
We do, yeah. And it was slow. It spiked. It slowed again, and then it kind of spikes, just like any business. It's no different.
So it's literally the bottlenecks. It's like sometimes it's lead flow, sometimes it's management of the user base. Yeah, it's and the business is always in a cycle of where's the current bottleneck. You fix that, and then that opens another area where you find another bottleneck, and that keep going. So that's really cool. So what's got you most excited about Everbee right now? It's sort of we spoke about it a few weeks back, where you're looking at it being its own platform one day. So yeah, what are you working on?
Yeah, thank you, man, for that. We have so many cool things going on right now. We have 35 employees full time now. Most of that is like 80% is engineering and development. Most of what we're building, nobody has even seen yet because it's like been in development. The way I look at Everbee is I look at it as our mission is to simplify global e-commerce. We want to impact people, real people, online sellers, online business owners, small teams, brands, small brands, and help them build a life that they're proud of. There's a lot of problems inside that mission, right? And research was one of them. Product research, Everbee research, keyword research, product research was just the tip of the iceberg. This was the beginning for Everbee. What we're building now, as I look at Everbee, is we have three things happening right now. Everbee Research is a product of ours. It's our flagship product. It helps people find, validate successful products, and then sell those things. We have Everbee Email, which is our email marketing platform. Every single business owner should have an email list. If you don't, you're missing out on an opportunity. It's not a big deal. Just go and get an email list and then go market to your email list like tomorrow. Everbee Email is that. We have Everbee Print, which is in beta right now, and this is our print-on-demand solution. The majority of Everbee users are print-on-demand sellers, and print-on-demand opportunity is absolutely monstrous, right? Like what we see today is print-on-demand. It's huge. What we'll see in the next 3 years, it's going to be bigger. The catalog is going to increase. Like there's going to be more things printed on demand. The things that you don't even think are possible printed on demand, they will be printed on demand. And Everbee wants to be leading in that aspect for sure. Similar to Printify, Printful, Gelato, these great companies, they're seeing the same thing. And they should be like not knocking them at all. They're seeing the same thing, and sellers need to be jumping onto this opportunity and figuring out how to position themselves in this market. It's really cool and exciting. So Everbee is building Everbee Print right now. And then Everbee Store is a little further out. It's probably too soon to be talking about it, but Everbee Store, and the names might change, by the way, but essentially every single seller needs to own their own website.
Mhm.
They need to be on their own website. You cannot rely on someone else's traffic forever. It's cool. Etsy's amazing. Amazon's amazing. Walmart.com's amazing. eBay's amazing. But those are not your customers. Those are their customers, and you're playing in their sandbox. And if they decide that you're not valuable for them anymore, or that you're infringed on anything, they can shut you down and your business is gone. Your revenue stream is gone. So Everbee Store is that solution, is going to be the platform. It's going to be your store platform that you need to be running your business as a home base. Now, can you go TikTok shop and all this stuff? Absolutely, as you should. Those are sales channels though. Etsy, Amazon, TikTok shop, eBay, all these things are sales channels. But at the end of the day, you want to be building your brand and email marketing back to your website and converting those customers on your site. And that's like how you bulletproof your brand for the future, in my opinion. So Everbee's, that's our world. We live here. And of course, naturally, there's AI being intertwined into these products that nobody's seen yet. But we want to make sure we get it right. We don't want to just jump on the AI bandwagon just because.
Yeah, for sure. What's your typical day look like with FB and home and the family?
Yeah. So man, thanks for asking. That's so cool. Typical day. Today, I'll just tell you today. So today, woke up around 5 a.m., worked out before the kids got up. Kids got up around 6:30. Usually play with the kids, hang out, watch a show, whatever the day kind of does with my kids. That's typically until about 7. I start my workday at 7 a.m. my time. Um, I work in the home office, so I get to like the kids pop in kind of throughout the day. But typically, I don't do any meetings for like usually the first hour of my day, and then it's usually like team meeting after team meeting after team meeting, different teams. Because again, we have 4 products, so that means 4 different teams mixed with customer service team that's pretty big, and then all these other stuff that we got going on. So it's usually meetings for the next like 4 hour block of time typically, and then maybe a podcast. It will be kind of in the afternoon, and then we'll kind of wrap up the day. I usually wrap up my day around 3:30 p.m. my time as like a hard stop, and that's when I kind of relieve my wife from like the parental duties, and I kind of take over as dad. And I typically do that until dinner time. We do dinner as a family, typically almost every night. Uh, and that's my day, man. And then we wrap it up around, we do bedtime, baths, all that stuff, and we wrap it up around 9:30 p.m. Like I'm in bed
Mhm.
sleeping.
Mhm.
Wake up, do it again, and something we enjoy.
Yeah, that's great, dude. Very, very cool. And that's
Thank you.
that work balance life is um, work life balance is what I believe a lot of people just miss out on. Going down the typical 9 to 5 route is that they're stuck in the commute, they're straight out the door in the morning, they've got this Sundayitis, Mondayitis. There's a lot of if you're not feeling like that's the calling, there's other ways. Like, and that's as you've discovered, like it's incredible when you can live on your time. Like you've got the choice. I mean, you've got a lot of responsibility in terms of having a team and whatnot
Hmm.
with you. But if you want to go and see the kids, do their athletics carnival or whatever it is, you can take
I
that
go.
time and do it. And that's something that I would certainly never give up for the world.
I
Is
wouldn't either. It's
yeah.
cool you say that. The way that I talk about work-life balance and with my team and my wife and I, we talk about it together is I'll challenge that for a second. And people might hate this, and that's okay. I don't believe you do anything great by being balanced.
Hmm.
So I don't really believe in work-life balance. I think I believe it in the sense that you're saying it, but I'm going to challenge the words balance. And have you anything ever been great has been when has ever anything great been done by being balanced, right? Like nothing. Like when you can't have a balanced marriage and be have a great marriage. It's an average
Hmm.
marriage. You can't be a balanced dad and be a great dad. Like you have to be all in. Like you're an all in dad to be a great dad. You have to be all in on your marriage to have a great marriage, and you have to be all in on your business to have a great business. If you spread out your balance, like for the word's definition of balance is like 33%, 33%, 33%. Guess what? You're failing at all 3 things. Congratulations. Like you're below average. And so I challenge that word in my family and in our team of like the goal isn't balance, it's actually integration,
Hmm.
work life integration. How do we integrate our life with our work? Meaning it flows harmoniously. You know what I mean? Like data is flowing, information is flowing, work is flowing, money's flowing, it's happiness is flowing, it's smiling. It's not like I'm unhappy at work and then now I'm smiling because I'm a dad. Like no, I should be integrated. It should be happy all the time. And so I use those words for some reason. It sticks better for me, and it also gives a sense of sometimes I need to work extra hard. And my kids, I want them to see me work extra hard. I want them to see that when you have to fight for your dreams, you have to fight for what you want. If you have a vision in the world and you need to bring it to life, it's okay to go all in sometimes and work your ass off.
I completely agree with that. Like and this is something that I've been thinking about for years. Work life balance is completely the wrong way of
Yep.
describing what I'm referring to because
Yep.
it's more the lifestyle of how it all comes together. It's the integration, like you just said. It's having the ability to have a business where it gives you the freedom to be able to, you know, allocate, whether sometimes you're going to be going 110% in the business. Sometimes you need to go 110% in your marriage or with the family. I'm completely there. But having the income sorted in a way that gives you that freedom to actually deploy the attention where it needs to go when it's needed. That's that's the balance. At the
That's
end
the
of the
key.
day, that's where the balance comes from. Is
Yep.
having that freedom to do that.
You know,
So
and print on demand is in e-commerce, and print on demand specifically gives you that balance. You're not fulfilling orders. You're not spending time fulfilling orders. You know, like you you can have income that's passive. You know, by some definitions, it's coming while you're sleeping, essentially. You know, and you wake up to sales, like it's a special thing. You know, like when you're on a date with your wife or your husband, and you just had 10 sales come in.
mhm.
Damn, that feels good. You know, and
Absolutely.
it feels good for your confidence level. It makes your wife feel good or your husband feel good, and it's you're gonna teach your kids how to just think a little bit differently by designing their life a little bit different than the majority. And e-commerce, print on demand gives us that opportunity. It's a special thing.
Absolutely. And I think, the reason for that is it allows you to focus on the most important things within the business, whilst not having to concern yourself with, fulfilling, picking and packing orders, calling the suppliers, that kind of stuff. And that's sort of the same with the relationships, your kids, your wife. Like you're focused on the important thing. You're not yeah, so distracted by stuff that doesn't really matter. But dude, I better let you go because I know you're short on time. But it's been a great conversation with you, and I absolutely love what you're doing with Everbee. It's a killer tool. It continually gets those improvements and whatnot. But since I've started using it, absolutely loved it. And I'm all about that user interface and it looking really good. And you've nailed that as well. So
It's going to get
yeah,
better,
keep
man. But I
crushing.
really appreciate that, Ronnie. Thank you, and thank you for having me on. Thank you for everybody listening to this. Hopefully, it's valuable. At the end of the day, like I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's a tough task to get people to change their life. It's a worthwhile one though, and I think that you do that, and it's inspiring for me. And because you're coaching, literally, you're if somebody just follows the blueprint or follows the path, the probability of them changing their life is it's not guaranteed, but it's probable at this point. And if they just follow
Absolutely.
what you're saying, and I read your stuff too, by the way, like I'm getting tips over here, and I just appreciate you educating the community because we need entrepreneurs, we need business owners. This world is powered by small businesses, and the innovation comes from entrepreneurs, and people need to be taught how to be a business owner successfully. And so I just want to say thank you for you, man, like because we need you.
Mate, we can go backwards and forwards all day. But thank you. I appreciate that. Dude, thank you. And we'll be talking again soon. I believe that for sure.
Sounds great, man. Thanks again for having me on.
Cheers, brother. I'll talk
See
to you
you.
soon.